Massacre on the beat!
You're a producer, but in being a producer who's not necessarily signed to a label or signed to have a contract with NBC where you're their in-house producer, you're an entrepreneur. At the end of the day, you have to handle all your invoicing, your taxes, whatever it may be. So I think that's something that we didn't even touch on, or people don't even realize. They think like, oh, I'm just gonna make some beats, I'm a producer, but just let them know like what goes into the business side of this game.
Okay, well, being a producer, people throw these terms around loosely and stuff. Like, I know that a lot of these people in the music industry, a lot of people like the idea of doing music, but you got to understand what each one of these titles carries a unique set of responsibilities and attributes required to rise to the position, or rise to that role. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people like the idea of doing music. Like a lot of people like the idea of being a producer, but what a producer is a person of many different disciplines. It's a multidisciplinarian, and not like a producer is not so someone makes the beats, and the producer don't even have to make the beats. They can come in or take a sound and say, move that over, and the producer is what makes the record what it is, not the beat maker. The beat could be dope, but there's a lot of beat makers out here, but there's not a lot of producers. Can you see the song through? Can you manage the finances in the studio to make sure all the musicians are covered and the time doesn't go over? Can you speak to the engineer in the language that allows him or her to understand what needs to be done sonically in the record? Can you communicate with the artist and pull out whatever you need to pull out from the artist to get that artist to get the best presentation and the best delivery possible? I mean, in actuality, the producer, there's very few producers who rise to the occasion, and that's why I encourage a lot of the people, 90% of the people that I work with, I encourage them to go work with somebody else, just so they don't take me for granted.
Right.
Because I know they're going to always come back, because what I got, nobody going to ever have what I got. That's what makes me uniquely me.
Definitely. Yeah, that's interesting, because most people don't, they want to hide their clientele. But I will say, like, you've always been in demand regardless. And I've seen you with the crappiest setups, bro, to the most sleek, top of the line, studio A, B, and C setup. And regardless, you killing it, you come out fire, and the artist is going to be wherever you're at. And I can like personally attest, like we work together in many capacities, but even to this day, like I got to run my music through you. Like, even if it's just like for mixing or master, or like, yo fam, what you think of the sequencing? So, I don't know. I think like that's just, to me, it's just like you're an advisor, but you also, the artist, like sometimes you have to remind me who Elwin is, when like one time you're like, I come to Elwin for dope lyrics and this and this. And I'm like, oh, that's who Elwin is. So like, it's just like an amazing like skill, just like how you can mold artists. But it's not just that we make dope music, bro. It's so much more deeper and like spiritual, like you say, because like us artists have something in our soul we're trying to get out, and it can be so difficult, one, to like learn the conventions of your craft, but then two, to like just have the confidence in your voice, and having your lyric, your vocal sound right. There's so many things that go into it, but like when someone links with like a Master Green, you just basically set up all that for them. And I've seen you take the most like amateur artists and make them sound fucking hot.
Yeah, because that's what, it's like you got to know what to get and how to get it out of the artist. It don't matter, and I don't discriminate, because it's like and that's one of the biggest challenges that I have with myself, because I can see a person has so much potential, but it's like I'm more focused on the attitude, because even a great artist, like I feel like that needs to be talked about. Like, what is a great artist? Like, Dope lyrics, yes. But and being able to write on the spot, yes. Being able to like rap about things in depth and talk about many different concepts besides just the surface covers, raps that you hear online and out on the radio that's force fed to the community and people like sheep. So what makes a great artist? Somebody who is adaptable, somebody who's open, somebody who's just coachable, who's somebody who's open to taking direction. Because I feel like to be a great master, you got to be a great follower when that time comes. Like you got to be open to being taught some things because it can help you be a better master, of your craft. Not nobody's master, but your master of your own destiny.
Right.
Some people try to, you do it. Some people, words, I can see how words can be taken out of context. Even when I talk, I know that the words can sometimes be taken out of context because I say it with so much conviction, it can sound egotistical, but it's how you look at it. It's like you're not the masters of anybody. We're the master of our destiny. We are the sailors of
Right. It's just
where our
playing that role when you need to.
yeah.
Like if I get in the studio with you and I'm trying to compose a record, like, yeah, I'm a master in that. But like, if you're like, yo, fam, if we need this effect through these snares and we have to EQ it like this, I'm going to like be like, oh, like when anytime I've been in the studio, what am I doing? Just with you, I'm watching you to learn tricks. Or like if you came to learn Forex, you're not Master Green, you're the student, it's Master L. Like, let's go. So like, it's not about the rank. It's like, yo, like, let's help each other get where we want to get with these different skills.
Yeah, because there's levels to all this. Like it's like even with goals and stuff, it's like people think that their goals are just, this is the finish line. Like, no, ain't no such thing as no finish line. Like, one goal is just the beginning to a new goal.
Right.
Because there's always something that we could do and add to our experience on top of it. I mean, in a way, the success is actually mess people's heads up, in some kind of way. But there's beauty in the struggle, and having some dirt, and I've been taking time growing through the dirt. My roots run deep.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
I'll
Deep
vouch for that.
Into the dirt. You know what I'm saying? So that but some of the most beautiful and the strongest trees that last forever, they're deep, their roots, I could only imagine how them roots probably touch the core of the earth. And that's how I look like an oak tree. Been here thousands of years, but with a new spin. And, so we just what matters is what we are to and how we make people feel. Well, sometimes, everybody's experience is going to be different. It's different with me, based off of what ideals how they try to make me up in their minds, so, and all we can do is be authentic to who we know who we are, which is so much more than what we know. And who we are now is just is an accumulation of ideas. And some of these ideas service and some of them don't. So that's why I say it's always good to be open and be childlike in nature to create a new experience and to not get so caught up in our own prison.
Right. You just so calcified in your ways and you get old and stale.
And it's like anybody likes the smell of their shit, or anybody can like that. But it's like, the real key to real fruitful experience is, being accountable. To project, but you just have to, we can't take things personal because we know that the art is what's going to always set us free.
Right.
That's what's going to always set us free and allow us to live the most enriched experience possible. Other than that, everything else is just an error.
That incorrect thinking, which could lead to a lot of negative emotions. Which you
Yeah.
might end up on Skid Row. I ain't trying to go, so I'm staying in the light.
Yeah, stay in the light, and in the darkness is, we all need the darkness to help because things grow in darkness.
Right.
You
right.
know,
But we will that darkness from a higher point where we don't let it engulf and control us, right?
Yeah, nor do we try to control others. Even with the people that we love the most, it's good to sometimes give them time to be free, like to think. I don't know really how to explain it. It's like people are not meant to be possessed; they're meant to be experienced. Because we don't own anything. You know what I'm saying? Everything in our existence is rented right now, except the beliefs and the thoughts that we have.
Yeah. And you were saying like some people they success will ruin them. I think they get caught up in thinking they are those thoughts, and they are successful, and like they are the reason for that success. And whether you believe in like God or higher power or whatever, if it's just like knowing that really you are receiving those thoughts. And like how you talked about, I go in the, like when we first started this combo, you said I go in nature, I get grounded, and these I'm hit with the inspiration. But some people just think that they're the source, and I think that can be a lot of people's downfall. And then you lose the magic that way too. You can't make no new hot shit.
Well, that's not magical though. That's all egos. When you all ego, you're shut off from the creative openness of somebody who really wants to make something happen. And that's the issue with a lot of artists and producers, so-called people with label people, managers, whatever. The industry is saturated with these folks. So, but I know at the end of the day, like I'm gonna always be good. Like that's the thought that I come back to. Right. And the thing about our thoughts and beliefs is we don't need nothing outside of ourselves to believe that. We don't need no external. And I learned to not even to trust my five senses. I learned to just take all that. I use all when it comes to it's how you use your senses.
Yep.
We don't use our senses to drum up some bullshit in our experience. We use it to create what we want to see. And then everything else is just an error. Because I'll deny thoughts that come to me throughout the day. Like, even if it's somebody close to us that'll say something that ain't true or whatever, it can rile us up for a moment, but I always remind myself who I am, which is so much more than all this. It's like, we have the ability to change our personality and become somebody totally different tomorrow.
And I think there's a skill in knowing the flaws in your own senses or your own perceptions, because then you can account for them. Like for me, sometimes I know like I'm dyslexic, right? So I'll say a number backwards or something like that, right? So I always read the numbers backwards. But over time, I learned that this is how my brain works. And now I kind of like know how to not read it the wrong way, because I kind of created little mental tricks to get around it. But it was all in first accepting like, yo, this is how I'm wired. It's kind of flawed, but if I can rewire this little circuit this way, it'll make me read it the right way. And then like I come out like unscathed. It's just we're so awesome as humans when we're in control of the mainframe.
Yeah, the mainframe, and like they said, the mind is a terrible thing to waste. And that is that's one of the most profound statements I've ever heard. In addition to the one where man in life alone is not responsible for anything except our thoughts and our beliefs. I know I've said that a few times today while we've been on this interview, but that is the most profound thing. It's like that's the only thing we're really responsible for. Everything else is just the creative, the universal creative mind. So in the creative universal mind, any way you want to look at it. And it's like when we or allow ourselves to get and to detach from time and how and when it's gonna happen, that's when we really supercharge our desires and the things that we want to see in our experience and act as if they're already here, and then go about our day. We don't have to blurt it out to people, or even with our confidence. Like, it's the things, going through our situations that build confidence. Even when you with a loved one, like they just have so much access to you that they think that you're just one way or whatever.
Great artists, you're posing that question. What is it? Is it the dope bars, the dope lyrics, able to rap really fast, all of that, but convey your emotions and your idea fully through your palette. So I think that before you could even do that, you do need to learn your skill set, learn the different tools of your craft to some degree. Not saying you have to be, every single plugin, every bell and whistle to be considered great, but you do need to know how to use your medium. And I just wondered, how did you become so like adept to the different, DAW interfaces, the different softwares? Because I do see you use like a bunch of different softwares. You might use 3 different programs just to complete one song. Like how have you acquired those skills?
The thing is, it's like they're just tools, bro. Honestly, honestly, I was doing that because I had a lack of plugins then. I was working with limited plugins, and plus those processes I'd use to master a song and stuff. Like, I do all that in Pro Tools now because I have plugins that do, exactly that and get the loudness that I'm looking for out of the records, because I can I do like a master stack and use a few different plugins as well as like a master meter, which allows me to know what the industry standard sound, how the industry standard sound is matching up with my sound. So, and I had different processes then and being adapted. And it's just, I would just call that just resourcefulness, being able to bounce the different programs and different operating systems and like that. I like to have options, and I like to have the freedom to do that, to bounce back in different programs, because it's like everything, we're dealing with frequencies. So, certain programs can do a little more and do certain things. And it's just the differences in programs, but they all lead to the same outcome.
Wow. Sounds like life. We just interact with these different programs to get the results we want.
Exactly.
So how do you actually learn your softwares and, your tools? Like, you just sitting there mashing it till you figure it out? Or are you a manual guy or YouTube tutorial guy? What's your process to learn?
I honestly, most of the time it's like, I would say it's more meditative for me. Like, I could sit at the computer all day and not get out one beat, or have a book sitting in front of me and not read this book. But it's more so a mental thing for me first. Like, like I just see myself doing it and sticking to the music. So it's because, and I know that I stick to it. So it's like, I just really go through the whole process in my mind before I actually do something, like, because it's like, I don't do things just to do it. Like, I just, because we do everything everything we do in life is for the feeling, honestly. So when it comes to learning these programs and stuff, it's being really just trusting myself and knowing that, the patience over time will accumulate into a really mastery experience.
But you
But
really
it's like,
just get your hands dirty at the end of the day. Like you're sitting down with it and you're just figuring it out. But you take more like a Tesla approach where you kind of build it in your head and then you create it outwardly. And, it can make for like less errors and, bugs along the way because you already kind of built it from the like those roots. Like you said, you built a strong foundation and you just built on top of that.
exactly. Because, we can get our heads dirty all day, but it's like those the experiences that lift us up are the ones that challenge us the most.
What has been most challenging to you throughout your process in this music business and just your journey as a producer? What's been most challenging, would you say?
Most challenging as a producer is just the business aspect, because, the music is the easy part, but the business it definitely requires careful care, not just any type of care, but careful care and careful approach. Like, and careful meaning in how we prepare, like, nothing is perfect, but, having a plan is what makes the experience a lot more digestible. It's like, because this is all 90, I feel like it's 90% business, 10% music. Because when you do, anybody can do a song, but it's not just a song. Like that's a non-fundable token. It's like, which is a whole nother conversation too. Like, it's a whole lot more now, like, than it ever was, with the advancement of technology. So now it's like, it changes the game on how people get paid royalties or how, royalties are being paid out. Yeah. How do people get paid their royalties, how they're being paid out. And essentially it's like, you can sell the music, you can go platinum in a day, so it's like, it's a lot to know about that, about the business side, because it doesn't, a lot of producers get so caught up in the product itself that they miss out on the business side.
How do you avoid that?
Having an agent and somebody who's well-versed in the business that I deal with, my few business partners, because you got to have people in your circle that challenge you and just push you to always do things that will help to elevate your experience. Because if not, it's like you're doing yourself a disservice.
Let me ask you this. What are some artists that you love to work with? Just, put that energy out there, and then we can listen back in a couple years and see if you worked with them.
Yeah, but a couple artists I would like that I can see myself in the studio with, and I will work with, and I can. Janae Aiko. Yeah, she. I remember I did a record back when one of my artists was on an independent release, and we had a Janae hook. So we got that through her management. So that was one of the placements that I had. But to actually be in the studio with her is a whole nother thing, to really create and build the record from scratch, and then put the angelic vocals over it with the master green godly touch, green light magic touch, which is the name of the LLC, by the way, Green Light Magic Touch LLC. It's like, that's just going to be monumental, because I hear a lot of the music that these people do, and a lot of it sounds like fast food, bro. And I'm not to take that away from their artistry, but it's just as far as like on the production and the sonics, right? Yeah. A lot of these songs that come out now are too clean. They're too clean. And when their certain records are too clean, it just sounds it's too polished. Like you don't want a record that's too polished. You got to have some roughness, some rawness to
like
the record.
ODB used to be talking about, get it dirty.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, I haven't like pinpointed like you mathematically, but there's something I know, like certain songs I could hear. I'm like, yo, this is gonna be straight in 10 years. I'm like, yo, has about a year shelf life and it's not gonna work. And a lot of times it is the conventions, like the production, like the certain bass lines that they use, or just.
But then again, you don't know. But then again, we do not know. We don't know. It's like the thing is like. And I even get outside and telling myself what's what, because it's like, it may be the shit you least expect to blow up. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I look for. I get outside of, because it's like when I make a hit, when I try to make a hit, I fail to make a hit. I just know I'm gonna make a hit, and I just approach it like
then
that.
You never
like,
right. You just make great music.
I don't ever miss. It's like you're gonna miss a shot you don't take, but I'm not missing no shots because it's like shit.
Right.
I always take advantage of the opportunity, like as far as like, to expand the sound and push the bar as far as using the commercial sound, but taking bass lines from any era.
That's so key, is like you're expanding, you're pushing the sound. So it's not like we're in a vacuum and we're like, yo, they doing these type of flows, this type of beat. We're not making it. It's like, no, this is the convention of the times. How can we push this? Because what we're basically doing is we're encapsulating these moments in time, these eras, but we're just, revving it up to just be something epic.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what allows us to get, the best out of our experience. So it allows us to get the best and to elevate ourselves. It's not half-assed in the process. Like you have to go through the dark to get to the light. Like butterflies never became butterflies through an easy process.
Right. Or like the phoenix gotta get burnt and rise from the ash.
Exactly.
Get set on fire first. Ooh.
Yeah. So that's the indicator that, success can blow people's heads up. And it's like, but it's like, even with the Grammy nomination and stuff, it's like, I'm humbled by that, but it's not the end goal. Like people be running up to me like, oh, you got Grammy nominated. You're like, that's cool. But that's the problem with many industry people, is like, they get so caught up. It's like they put themselves on an invisible high horse with all their accomplishments. But at the end of the day, what are you currently doing is the most important thing. Because it's like anybody can get caught up and woven up into their version of success from 30 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But like, what are you doing now?
Right. I was on stage with NWA and
and that's problems with these producers too. That's another thing. Like, a lot of these cats, like, it'll be a challenge because these cats will actually have some really powerful connections, but they be caught up in the smell of their own fecal matter to where they're they're missing out on a blessing.
They're not utilizing their resources.
No, they're misusing their resources, which they're going to be shooting themselves in the foot for. At some point.
I actually noticed a lot of that out here in California. Just coming from in the Midwest, there wasn't as much opportunities for like hip hop and just like throwing your own events and all of that. And then when I came out here, it was just so abundant. Like you could throw a rock and find a venue, and if you want to put your money up, you could rent it out. You could do this. And for me, it was just like so much opportunity. But I would see other people complaining and just not seeing it and only seeing a glass half full. But I think just coming from a different environment gave me perspective and allowed me to really flourish when I moved here.
And a lot of these cats out here are spoiled. So you got to also understand that you coming from Chicago, your grind is going to always be different and be more, just a little bit more gutted, because, California, a lot of these people are mentally on vacation. So, there's some out here, like ourselves who are careful with the clock, not time, but careful with how we use the clock. You don't abuse the clock, use the clock. And I feel like when you use the clock, then your outcome will reflect that.
Explain that concept, because you said it's not time, but how you use the clock. Break that down.
I mean, it's 20, supposedly there's 24 hours in a day, but, even time and trying to conceptualize it is really out of the human reach. Like a minute could be an hour. A moment can be a whole day for me, So it's just like how we do. Huh?
I get it, because time doesn't exist. We're just using the clock.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. It's just something to monitor our routine. It's like utilizing it in a way where you're not just abusing it, because anybody can go to pleasure when they're lacking substance.
Right.
It's
and
like
I'll all sync up.
But sometimes, sometimes I do have a day where I'm just, doing whatever the hell I want to do. And if it's looking at some, I might see some bullshit on Instagram, but I'll get it out of my timeline quick, but I don't sit there and just be on there all day long.
Yeah, there's a lot of people I know that do that, and they're just looking at booties and shoes and comedy skits. And I definitely program my algorithm to show nothing but asses. And I had to deprogram it a few months back to where it don't show anymore. But it was all like fine curly girls from the UK. Thick. I'm like, man, what am I doing here? Like, I'm going here and I'm just looking at women. So I kind of had to clean my algorithm up and just not click stuff. But that's just the reality of it.
Yeah, I mean, you seeing pictures of my girls. I be, she be on my Instagram, so I don't be. I'm like, this Instagram stuff has messed up a lot of relationships, and I'll be like, even if I like somebody, shit, it's not because I want to lay with them or I'm thinking of, but because it's like my mind is on so much more expanded things. We can. And if I rewound this tape that we're recording right now, I know that there's a whole lot of gems in here that anybody can use. So, and that shit, I could hear it back too and hear it and apply it, really keep applying these things that I'm talking about with you today. Like,
I think we touched on a lot of concepts. Like we could really break down, and like I learned from you. You have a lot of insight. Like I wish we could really like write it all up and organize it to some degree, but
I mean, and this is the ground. We're doing the groundwork right now. So we our wishes don't have to be wishes. Our wishes are just ideas that will be solidified with the proper phase, going through the proper phases. So
we planting the seeds right now, but we gotta cultivate them.
We're not missing anything. We have everything we want to do is within reach. So it's just about reframing everything that we know and establishing a new set of positive subconscious prompters that are going to elevate us and catapult us to the highest versions of success, outside of what we can conceptualize in our mind. A success that's even greater than what we imagine.
Success,
Yeah, absolutely. Because success for me is sleeping well at night. It's not about what we can acquire. It's about the feeling you have. Like I go to sleep at night knowing that I've been a blessing to a lot of people. I haven't, been out here tearing nobody down. I talk my shit every now and then, but we all do. Ain't nobody perfect, but I'm sure, there's people who like to believe they're perfect and they know the right way to be. But it's the differences that make us all unique. So like if a person normally silent, but I'm loud and bubbly, like that's, that just, there's times where I'm quiet too. So, I can be all things, so I don't limit myself by placing labels on, this is what I am. these are the values that we all have value systems, but who put those values there? Are those values like helping us? Or are they actually keeping us in a prison to where we're not living the full color spectrum of life?
Yeah. And it's always sad when I see older people that haven't shifted like out of different things, emotions, values, like self-loathing, blaming, all that stuff. They like 50, 60, 70, and they still carrying that.
Well,
that's
honestly,
like a caution to me.
It's sad for them. Yeah, it's sad for them, but it's actually enlightening for me because
it's like a warning.
Yeah, they're like, nigga, don't be one of those people. You know what I'm saying? But be you, but just be more than what you think you are now. Be more than just our responses and our reactions. Like a lot of these responses and stuff come from pain remembrances. And I find myself sometimes having to remind myself, like, okay, this person don't know me that well. Like, so I can't take it too personal at all. Even if they know me, like what I am now is not what I was then. So anybody trying to project on me or say, oh, this is how you are, or this is what you are, this is what you like, nah. Just because I give you a little bit of access, that's for anybody. Any artist, anybody close to me, like I know what I'm and what I've done, and I always come back to the question, if I were to die today, what did I serve a purpose? Did I help people? And those are questions that, people will try to shy away from because there's death. Death is life and life is death. The death of old things and the growing of new things. So it's just both of those experiences and the death of, I thank God for the death of the relationship with my ex, because I probably would have never bumped into this one. Like my girl.
Right. It's just though, I think thinking of the death in the right frame, it's just reframing your life. So
it's framing,
you can see people die. I'll die likely around this time. If I live a healthy life, maybe 100, whatever. So in between, I could do this, and my vision, I can project out that I'll have this much time to do my vision. And, I want to be perceived by this and leave this legacy. And, maybe I want to have kids and leave whatever it may be. You can frame your death in a positive way to just kind of understand the game of life. Like, okay, like this kind of where it coming to end. So shoot, what I'm going to do in between it, not like on some, pessimistic, I'm going to die. Just being, it's not good or bad. Like you said, it just is like not good or evil. Just the same thing, not life or death. It's just life and death are the same, right?
Yeah, they're one and the same.
Because they live in fear.
Yeah. And fear is nothing but just a false protector or whatever.
Or they think in the end we all die. So what's the point of life? But that
I feel like I disagree with that with we all die because in the physical, because our bodies are nothing but just a compilation of just form accumulated form, and you can change that form anytime. You can change it by what you inject into that,
right?
So that's why I'll be drinking this green juice, because it's like that really helps thoughts. That really does, and our thoughts are everything. If that's all we're responsible for, I got to be more conscious of what I eat and stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
It affects our relationships more than we know. People can think, oh, eating is just eating. We just got to get something to get through the day. But honestly, that helps with our manifesting. It does help with it. And
it's medicine, it's nourishment. So that green juice is going to give you some energy.
Yeah,
when we eat Carl Jr. Yeah, but when we eat that bullshit, we got to spend energy to break it down. And that's just part of it. We got to be cool with that. And I'm going to go hang out with my friends. I'm getting an Angus beef with the cheese or whatever, but just accept it and know, like, yeah, you might get the shit. You might,
Or
you might.
Where I go, like, I'm an advocate for that. I even talked to my girl, showed her the activated charcoal. She liked the all-natural stuff. Um, and I like natural too. I also like things that I know are gonna work for me. So,
But yeah, there's nothing wrong with having, doing things that might be bad for you, like your body, like, because we're humans at the end of the day. And like you said, it's about experience, and think about how many experiences we share through food. Like, I remember when me and you went to In-N-Out Burger after a show. I remember when me and you were eating Carl Jr. in a car, like just little shit. Like, so it's just part of how we connect experience, just like the music. But I think, like, we in this culture, we have like such an addiction of food, and people think like you need it to survive. Like, I have to have, bacon, egg, sausage, toast, all this in the morning, when really, like, that, truthfully, that's gonna bog you down, and you could just have like some grains, some fruit, some yogurt, something like that, at least for my body.
Well, that we know that what it does is it helps to elevate your experience when you put the proper things into your body.
Yep. Okay. So let me kind of steer us home here. We just been chatting. I had a list of questions. It happens like this a lot of times lately, where I just go with the convo, and me and you are just very conceptual and talk a lot of metaphysics. So hopefully people can vibrate at our frequency, and obviously, like, reach out and ask us questions, or ask us for maybe some reading recommendations, meditation recommendations, or maybe you have some for us, a book we should check out that will grow our understanding, or some dots we're trying to put together, because we're all here to learn together. But yeah, just I wanted to just ask you, before you get out of here, just kind of like your future. So where are you seeing yourself in your 5-year, your 10-year plan? Where is Master Green going to be in 2030?
In 2030, Master Green will have a fully functional music production company, a midnight show on 94.7 Wave, where I just spin smooth music and just talk my smooth shit while I'm on the air, and remotely. A radio show on 94.7 that I run remotely, so I could be practically anywhere in the world and run that show along with the music.
Just let me pick your brain here. You know how we do here on the Winlife podcast. I do have one more question, and I'm going to let you up out of here. And that question is, what does winning at life mean to you?
Winning at life is when you're able to sleep at night. When you're able to sleep at night and you're fully invested and fully present in all of the great things that you have created. And if you're like, the thing is, it's like, we could create a great experience from the inside out. But like, really winning at life is being able to really, like, learning how to really fully be present, to enjoy these experiences and manifestations, and with many of them, just great, having a great circle of people around you that love you and just want to see you grow and won't let you fall, because we are only as strong as our weakest person in the round that we're around. So I only surround myself with people who are strong-minded and are ambitious, and not just ambitious to go and do some, to rob somebody or get some bullshit, but to just, pick up a book throughout the day, or to tell me about a book, which is also what I wanted to bring. I wanted to recommend a book for our listeners and stuff, even because this is the one that I've read, and I've read it, This is my second time reading the book, but it's called The Key to Power and Personal Peace by ULS Anderson. The Key to Power and Personal Peace.
Okay,
And they got
I definitely got to
the
check that one out.
Yeah, they got the PDF online. So I just go through that every day and read that every day. And in each chapter, the reason why this book is so powerful, because it helps to, which I've been talking a lot about today, which is to remove the subconscious prompters, the negative mental prompters that get in the way of our success and our happiness. So this book, at each section, at the end of each chapter, it has a meditation that you read whenever you feel like your positivity is, or intrusive thoughts try to come in and try to take over and hijack your mind. So you can just bring yourself back to a calm state of peace by just reading these words, the meditations, because they will open up your mind and a little bit differently than what you were used to before. So, but yeah.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll put that in the description for this podcast. So for anyone that wants to check that book out. Also, where can everyone find you online? Which, like your site, your socials, and anything coming up we should know about?
Well, there's a lot of things in the store, but like they always say, tell the world what you intend to do, but first show it. So I'm in the business of showing people, and I'm sure that you'll be excited when we hear some headlines or some news or a commercial or something. It's great things happening right now, this moment as we speak. So I just like it to be a surprise. And but as far as my social media, I could be reached on Instagram, www.instagram.com/mastergreen12. And which is also my email, mastergreen12@yahoo. I can be reached, I have a SoundCloud, but a lot of that music on there is dated. I don't know. I have social medias, but I hold on to a lot of the gems until it's the right time, the right time. We all function on our own timeline. So I don't want it to say the right time. The right time basically is a better and a more well-planned time. Should I say that, to be more specific, but for now I can be found on Instagram, and you can see some of the latest stuff in my story, some exciting studio sessions, as well as posts from artists that have songs that I recently put out under DistroKid, as well as other online music online distributors.
So is if say a upcoming artist is looking to maybe have their music heard by you, or even try to get in a studio session with you, should they just send you a DM or send you an email? Is that cool?
Send me a DM, because every situation is going to be different based off of what and how invested the artist is. If it's an artist starting out, then I'm sure that the pricing will be different than someone who is a veteran like yourself, and my brother. So, it's we gonna always, because it's like we're both geniuses in our own kind. So when we put two geniuses together, it's gonna be one big explosion of matter and and event for sore eyes. Shit. When they get in, just thinking about how our other records came together, we can put together a documentary that will really be a blueprint for many other collaborations with people that want to work, but just don't know how to get outside of their heads, and that's why I said, take a walk in nature. We can take it many ways.
That's how we start our sessions, right? We go walk in the mountains, meditate. Yeah. Then we go to the session, and the music is secondary. It just comes out, right?
It just comes out, and I'm just like, it just makes me think about all our records that we've cut.
Yeah, it's
You
time
know?
to reunite. I know for my Saint series, which we're finishing up, it's going to drop actually a month from today, December 16th, for my birthday.
Yeah, I still got to get that file over to you too.
Oh yeah, we'll get that. But yeah, like this
Okay.
has been like me just YouTubing it up and splicing, kind of like a collage. I kind of look at sometimes when I don't work directly under someone, like it's just putting this collage of art together. But I'm definitely ready to gear back up with you for some monumental stuff, because definitely to me my best creations have come working with you. So for sure. For shit.
Oh yeah, because we have a certain synergy, and it's like when you get in the studio, it's not like, oh, we know how to work through a record, talk about the things we like and the things we don't like, and we always meet on, we always get to that same outcome. So that's why the product is always great. The outcome is always great.
That 100% pure, unstepped on. But
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you. Thanks so much, bro, for this interview. Definitely gonna make this a two-parter. So shout out to the listener that made it to the end of part 2. Hope y'all took notes, and can't wait to catch y'all on the next episode of the Winlife podcast. Thanks again, bro.
Thanks again, family. Appreciate you.